You're listening to the Josh Parnell Leadership Podcast. We all have leadership within us, and once we understand how to challenge perceived limitations, we're able to influence those we're leading. Josh is a leadership coach, trainer, and speaker. He's also a veteran of the United States Air Force with over 20 years of leadership experience. Are you ready to transform your leadership skills by tapping into unrecognized potential to achieve limitless results? Let's get ready for liftoff. It's time to go from great to greater. Here's Josh in today's episode.
Welcome to the Josh Parnell Leadership Podcast. Our guest today is a friend of mine, a business owner, an entrepreneur, a lot of other things that we're going to get into. But our guest today is the one, the only, Season Davis. Season, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Josh. It's my pleasure to be here.
Of course.
Share my experiences with you and your audience.
So, Season, you are a Chief People Officer. You're also a Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at AMP Attorney Consulting. Season, you're also a entrepreneur, a business owner. We're currently live in person in your shop, the Cheese and Chocolate Queen. And so if you're listening to this episode, go over to the YouTube channel because you can watch the full episode on YouTube as well. So, Season, let's do this. I would love for our audience to get to know who you are, what you do, what got you to where you're at, and all the other details. So, Season, fill us in. Who is Season Davis?
Oh, it's a loaded question. Luckily, I don't have a gun. I am a multifaceted person, obviously, and I'm a full enjoyer of life. I started my career in as a recruiter, and then a friend's mom that we used to party at their house. We would hang out at their house in high school, and she called one day and said she had this HR director position available, and would I interview for it? And I kind of laughed because I think I was 25 and had been doing the recruiting thing and didn't really know what an HR director did at that time. And so trial by fire, right? I was given the opportunity, I was getting the job, and here I am, 15 years later, and that woman set my career in motion, right? It took somebody to see something in this kid that came over to their house almost every night. We ate dinner there, we hung out in their basement, and it's kind of like that 70s show every day in high school at their house. So yeah, she gave me an opportunity, and I've been very happy to get that opportunity ever since, right? It's given me a lot of different avenues to pursue. Human resources brought a lot of opportunity in healthcare, one of which was that every day I would go in and see people who were sick and dying. And
Wow.
That just made me have a really big appreciation for life, right? Like that every day that I'm here, I have to make some kind of difference. I have to do something bigger than myself. And I've always been entrepreneur. My first my first business was a dog walking business. When I was like 10, my mom wouldn't let me buy a dog, so I had to go walk other people's dogs to fill that void. And so, yeah, I mean, I've always had different businesses throughout my lifetime, and the HR aspect just gave me a whole other avenue to pursue, right? And to help people, because then I would start writing people's resumes for them and going to high schools and colleges and Navy Recruitment Center in Great Lakes and doing exiting military professionals' resumes and just wanting to help them with that new skill that I had obtained, right? And now, over the years, I keep putting all these tools in my tool belt, and it's brought me to this place where I'm at now as the Chief People Officer with a really big passion for diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, because I always kind of felt like I didn't fit, right? Like wherever I was when I was younger, even just didn't fit. So I feel like a lot of people feel like that. I don't feel like that's singular to me. I feel like a lot of people feel this way, and that I just want to help folks, right? And so HR gives me an opportunity to do that. And the diversity, equity, inclusion, being in healthcare, right? There are so many different types of people that come to work in a hospital setting. And I guess I'm very blessed because I feel like some places, right, like don't have that opportunity to have a lot of different types of people. And so I want to help other companies who are trying to, branch out and get some different perspectives and different types of people. And that just might come with fact that they're not living in an area where all these people are. So the DE&I is really a big passion of mine when I'm dealing with the HR and organizations that I support, right? I've started a lot of different programs from the ground up for them. And yeah, I just keep plugging away at everything HR, right? And thankful for all the resources that are out there that help me to continue to be engaged in learning, right? And the new and progressive ways that are coming out so that we can support people better in the workplace.
Sure. And it's really commendable, your passion and drive and dedication to fostering future leaders and really helping them with their overall performance. I see that pretty regularly from you. I mean, I think you're a fantastic supporter of anyone and everyone in your life. And, when you get to know Season, you get to know someone who is not just an acquaintance, but someone who's truly a friend who wants to help you succeed and grow and develop. And there's a lot of people out there who need people like you in their life. There's a lot of organizations out there who need Season Davis in their life. So speak to us more about you talked about your passion for it and the why behind it. But speak to us more about what else is really driving you to continue to help as many people as you are in everyday life.
That's a great question, Josh. I would say I think that one of the biggest things about my passion and feeling where I'm going in life, right, is that I have embraced the fact that I'm an only child, so I have done a lot of things on my own a lot, right? And you do have to be humble and allow people to come into your life, right, and help you because, again, you're only smart at what you're smart about. I'm not smart about everything. We talked about this a little bit earlier, the tech side, right? And I'm learning every day, right? And I just feel like there's a fire inside of me that wants to see other people develop and be successful, right? And that's one of the things within HR and all the companies that I work for is, looking and identifying skills that people have well beyond what you might have hired them for, right? And some of the organizations that I've had, I don't know a thing about, right? The companies that I start, it's just like all of a sudden I'm opening an indoor playground for kids, right? I don't know anything about opening an indoor playground for kids. And at a time in my life, some of my friends would have been like, are you opening an adult playground? And I would have been like, hey, baby. But no, right? I have this playground and didn't know laws and all these things. And you have to go and find out. And I think that in every single one of these processes, I've always gone back to the people that are there helping me.
Sure.
Or friends that I have, right? What do you think? Especially when I get stuck. And I feel like I always want to be that for somebody else because not always when you're an entrepreneur are your pockets lined with all the money that you need to have all the resources that you need to be successful. And it's really important to help other people's dreams come along because you hit those little, and everybody does, you hit this wall where you're like, I don't know if this is it. And I don't know if I should keep doing this. And I don't know, we talked about this cheese shop has been open for 2 years in August. So we're on year 3 and, no business. I don't want to say no business, but many businesses, right? And don't start up making killer money and getting everything that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to kind of work within your means. And I feel like as I've identified those hurdles that I hit as an entrepreneur, I want to help the other entrepreneurs and other people get beyond them, right? Faster and with less cost. And so that's, I've opened up the Season Davis Consulting because it's a 501c3. I give you the lowest price that we can give you to get whatever you need done, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And because we want you to be successful in your business. And I think that if more people did this, right? If more people were out there and aware of how they can help their fellow friends in their endeavors, then we would see a lot more success when it comes to businesses, thriving and especially in the community, right? I've met so many amazing people that have come into this business to buy cheese and chocolate or just to walk around. And we start a conversation. And now, right, I have a guy that put up my sign out there. He had to make the pole and everything because my sign one day when the wind blew off and busted the wood. And I'm sitting over here with not an extra $600 to get a new sign, right? So he come and one of my customers put the sign up. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, you're meeting these people and doing these things. And again, if there's things that I can help them with, I want to do that for them too. And
sure,
scratch your back, I scratch mine, and or You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, we're everyone's just scratching each other's backs.
That's
That's what we're doing. So
If you don't like to scratch people's back, you can get that back scratcher thing and just like do it from afar. But even a share, right, or a subscribe or a whatever, like you wake up in the morning and you see the post from the Cheese Queen, right? You just share it. You don't know who in your friends might need a caterer, who might need, some consulting services, who might need coaching services. You just don't know. So if you're out there just trying to touch the pulse of how you can help your friend, the entrepreneur, the professional, whatever it is, I think that you got to be the connector.
It sounds like a lot of little things, but they can go such a long way. And, multiple minds are better than one. And so you're able to surround yourself with people who is your support system, you are their support system. And so it's nice to be able to, utilize your skill set, your background, your experience, and all these things to help future leaders grow and develop. So I want to stay in the same vein and talk about, you have a number of different certifications, qualifications. If there's ever someone who, we've heard the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. I will tell you, audience listening, Season is a jack of all trades and a master of all of them as well. Like she is a unicorn in that regard. So Season, talk about your certifications, your qualifications, and a little bit more about all the education that you have in your background as well.
Funny how those things started, right? It's like I said, I got into HR, and then you need one more thing because now your company needs an extra something from you, right? To do something different for the next year or whatever. And I just have always had an interest in education as an adult. Probably not so much when I was younger because I just wanted to socialize. But as an adult, right? Like I find that I'm in a book all the time, right? I'm in a book. The other day I got done reading How to Be the Most Powerful Woman in the Room. And when I told my friend that, they kind of laughed because I think they felt like I could write the book, even though I don't feel really powerful, like on a day-to-day basis. I saw what they saw in me, right? Was that I come with this tool bag, and if I don't know something, I will find the solution, right? Like I will find a way. And I love it when I have clients or just anyone, right, that will say, no, we can't do that, or we don't, this can't be done, or whatever, you're a crazy person, right? I love that part. It's like, okay, well, we can work on this, right? Like there's always a plan, there's always a way around it, there's always 5 probably ways more than once we establish one.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the continuous improvement certification and interest came from. I was working with Germania Farm Mutual in Brenham, awesome organization, and they really helped in my development, right? They supported all the development. Maybe we could go to every kinds of conferences and do all kinds of things. And the continuous improvement was something that they were starting to embrace as an organization. So I was able to get in with that committee, and that's where the yellow belt came from. And I have done the green belt class, but I haven't sat for the test yet. But I will eventually. Right?
Yeah, and you're referencing the Lean Six Sigma certification.
Yeah.
And something that you mentioned a couple times, or at least alluded to, is the concept of what I like to say, you're doing it scared. So you didn't know what you didn't know when you opened up your indoor playground. Right. And a lot of people say, well, we can't do it, or I don't know how to do it, therefore I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
Right. And so many of us have a lot of creative and innovative ideas that really need to be fostered and nurtured to be carried out, because the idea is there for a reason, right? And so, but the moment we face any kind of resistance or challenge, we tell ourselves, it's impossible, right? And having this limitless mindset where it's like, you know what? Hey, yes, it's a problem, but with a problem, there's also a solution. And so you are someone who can help other people identify solutions for their problems, and you can show up as a support system. And again, I'm going to go back to the support system here, because it's so important that we surround ourselves with people who are helping us grow and develop our ideas and all the things that we're working on.
I mean, they say don't burn bridges, right? Like, I mean, that's a huge thing when you meet people. And I think this is funny because I'm gonna kind of blow you out, right? Is that we met, right, on online dating. Just you don't go into it, if you don't go into anything with any expectations of things, right? And that's kind of my mindset, is that I just go into it being open to what might happen, right? And again, you don't have to meet people and fall in love with them, right? We met and then made a professional contact, which was really rad.
To clarify, this was years ago.
Years. She's now married and has a lovely family, and they're a beautiful wife. But I think that's funny, right? Because, again, you don't have to go into things everywhere you go with some type of expectation. You going into being a leader, right? And you go into meeting with your teams about certain things, and maybe it is something that you feel like can't be done, or somebody's saying it can't be done. Sitting down and getting the feedback from other people is so critical at being able to target. I mean, I saw that you were doing this leadership podcast and that you were trying to develop some of your own things. And I know that when we had talked, you had talked about training and coaching and with Christian Brothers, and you were trying to, do some outside types of things. And so it's really awesome to see that happen. And over the years, right? I mean, it didn't happen yesterday. So over the years. And so it's, I think to me, when we're looking at how to develop high performing teams and high performing organizations, that we are looking at what every person brings to the table without expectation. So if I hire you for a customer service role, what else do you like, right? Like, what other things drive you as a person? And I think more companies now, especially if they want to get out of the box and they want to be hitting the map with their clients or with their demographic, right, is that they're looking and identifying all the players on the team. Because the CEO is great. I mean, I'm a CEO. It's whatever, it's a title. But whenever I go back to my people, like here at the cheese shop, I ask Mary, I ask Tony, what do you think? Because when they come to me and they're like, this is happening, and I don't know.
Sure.
I have never owned a cheese shop before, right? Like, I don't know. Let's look it up. Let's see.
Yeah, let's figure it out.
Let's see. Same thing with the playground. I mean, like, in the electrical control contracting company I had in Illinois. All these things were just like, get with your team, right? Leadership, get with your team. Don't sit in a tower, right? That can't happen anymore. The command and control has to be gone. Now we have to distribute the command and control so that we all are really meeting the need and the objectives of the organization, right?
Every person, I mean, Mary, Tony, every person involved has their own unique perspective that no one else has or no one else shares. And because they have their own perspective, they have the ability to be influential. And if they can influence those around them, they can affect change. So it's important that we're getting everyone involved. I'm going to say it again, multiple minds are better than one. True. And so decisions can't or shouldn't always just fall on one person, regardless of the title. Get the team involved because they have information that maybe we don't have.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the cheese shop. We're obviously in the cheese shop. If you're watching on YouTube, we have a lovely charcuterie board here with some cheese and some...
This one's a beehive.
Okay.
It's beehive cheddar, and it's rubbed with espresso and lavender. I figured we needed a wake up. It's definitely a nutty kind of cheese and creamy, smooth. You can definitely taste the hints of espresso in the end there. A little bit of lavender. And then I put out like a smoked provolone. Some people aren't into a stronger cheese. They want a little milder cheese, and provolone's a safe cheese for most folks because they identify it with, pizza and that nature.
Provolone is a safe cheese, folks. I learned that today. You don't know, now you know.
Yeah, they might be uncomfortable with tasting cheese. Some people think that cheese is cheese and wine is a bougie thing. Cheese has been around, man, almost from the dawn of time. And we found it as humans because some milk spoiled from an animal that we had, right? And it just randomly has progressed over the thousands of years, right, that the cheese has been available to us. So, at the cheese shop, we try to make it not intimidating.
Yeah, not a bougie thing.
Right.
I'll tell you this, I feel very comfortable here. I feel, it's homey. Yeah. Homey's a good word.
It's my hangout, right? This is a glorified hangout for the HR person. I have HR by day and cheese shop by weekend, night times. Help split up the monotony.
Now, I should mention for anyone who's local to the Houston area, we are in Old Town Spring. So, Season, if you would, share exactly where you're located. Share what the Cheese and Chocolate Shop is all about. And did I say it correctly? Is it the Cheese and Chocolate Queen?
Yeah,
right.
Cheese
Okay.
and Chocolate Queen.
Okay.
We are here in Old Town Spring, and we're kind of hidden. Only the coolest people, adventurers, end up here because we are kind of hidden behind 2 big buildings.
I learned just now I'm a cool person.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
I tell everybody, if they ventured in here from the beaten path, then they're pretty rad. Because if you come to Old Town Spring and you just stay on like the main 2 drags, there are so many little hidden gems in between the streets that I don't really feel like some people get the full effect, right?
Sure.
And so, yeah, we're back here, 417 Gentry Street. You'll see the Doll Hospital when you come into town. And as soon as you see the Doll Hospital, you should turn right into the parking lot there. Trilogy Brew is on the other side. So if you went past the big Trilogy Brew building, you went too far. So turn in the parking lot, come all the way to the back. We have a cute little ranch-style house with it's grayish blue with a white trim. Really great porch when it's not 105 degrees. We love to sit out there and have cheese and wine and hang out listening to music. Occasionally we have some Sunday fun days where we have Will and Row, their Will and Row party, and they do the DJing sometimes. And hype girl, man, she'll call you in like a siren with her voice. Just gets us people out in the street here at the shop. We bring out all the games. We have a lot of games, so you can bring your family and you can enjoy family time, or you can, you don't want to have all that, right? We also have private dining and private shopping experiences. And so during the week, right, if you are wanting to take your wife to come to the cheese and chocolate shop and get treated like a queen, right, then you just call me up and you set up your date and time, and we have your personal, nobody else here in the shop, and you enjoy your time and maybe board or snacks. We have small bites.
If she's treated like a queen, are you saying there's enough space in here for 2 queens?
Lots of queens.
Okay, so we got cheese and chocolate queen. We got a bunch of queens.
Yes.
Okay.
One of the other awesome things about the shop is that vendors, right? So if you're a vendor, you have some type of food product that might be really great for our shop. You make cheese at home. You make some jams or whatever. We cut a really awesome deal to people to get their products in the shop. It's like $50 a month for them to put their product in the shop, and then a 10% commission of their products. But yeah, then they have full access, right? They can put their products here, and we'll promote them on our website. We'll sell them, so you're getting into a store, right? And I think sometimes it's really hard to get your stuff on the product shelves at Walmart. But here in Old Town Spring, we have a heavy walking traffic on the weekends, and if you're doing farmers markets, which a lot of our vendors will still do, in collaboration with doing this too, then you can, have a more consistent presence and not have to worry about the one time a week or, one time a month, depending on the farmers markets that they might be doing. But then, yeah, they're here and they don't have to worry about the overhead of the rent and the lights and everything. They just have their really small, and hopefully their product would get out there, right, to other people. Sure. That's a big goal. We also do internships. So we have some students that we worked with, the local high school here. We have some culinary students that come over. So this year's a new year. We'll probably have some new students. That's exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we just try to do as many things as we can to help the community and to get people to know about us. We do a lot of different corporate events. We have a Build a Board diversity, equity, and inclusion if option that you can get so that your company could build their own board while learning about DE&I because it takes more than just the cheese there to make the board look pretty. So we kind of go over all the biases and all that good stuff, and it's a fun way for your
That's an awesome way to do that. Yeah, very cool.
You're playing with food and you're moving around, and everybody knows that a training that has these pieces is a really awesome training. So
a lot of opportunities for a lot of different people, companies, vendors, students, for interns. I think that's fantastic. And then, I feel like the theme of this episode is really turning into help and support. Again, being able to scratch each other's backs, to support each other, to help each other grow and develop. Now, something that we haven't discussed yet, but I know you're involved with a couple other things. I want you to share your involvement with the J. Renee Foundation and also your personal season. So if you would speak to us about both of those.
Okay. J. Renee Foundation is a really amazing foundation. The J. Renee School was started by my lovely friend, Juanita Macklin. out of Illinois, and she has a nursing school and would do the clinicals for her nursing school out of the facility that I had started in. So it was many moons ago. And over the years, right, she's developed the schools, moved out of like a small little building in a strip mall to a huge presence on a major interstate there in Elgin. I think it's Elgin. And through the school started the foundation, right? Because she wanted to give back to these folks and be able to help them to make their dreams come true. You know, a lot of people, I feel like money becomes a huge thing for folks, right? Dude, I don't have money to go to be a nurse. I don't have money to be a CNA, or I don't know. I don't have whatever it is, right? And I feel like the foundation kind of goes and helps to be able to provide some resources for folks to get the things that they need, right? We want to get into these underprivileged areas and be able to talk with youngsters about things that they can do. I said youngster. Oh my God.
Does that make you a non-youngster?
I'm so
do you just date yourself?
I suffer from Peter Pan syndrome terribly. I'm not going to grow up.
It sounds like you just grew up if you called someone else a youngster.
Youngster.
So I hate to break it to you.
Oh, I'm gonna have to talk to my therapist later. But yeah, I would say there's a lot of things, right, that are happening through the foundation that are positive in the fact that we are able to meet with young people.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you start saying whippersnapper, that's when you get really old. So you're not there yet. So that's okay.
Winning every day. But yeah, so the J. Ravenay Foundation, there's many ways to participate in that. If anybody was ever interested in knowing more about the foundation and how they can help, they can definitely just reach out to me at seasonldavis.com. And I'm happy to, field any questions for that. Your personal season is really awesome because that was what I was telling you. I got involved with all these businesses and would find myself in pickles sometimes. Like, do I pay people or do I get a lawyer? Like, and it's tough to sometimes make those decisions because certainly there's a lot of balls in the air when you're doing entrepreneur life, right? And dropping one for your people is not one that I ever want to do. And so that's what kind of fueled your personal season, because I wanted to be able to offer entrepreneurs, anybody interested in potentially being a small business, camaraderie and resources, right? Advice, consulting for minimal, if not nothing, right? Like if there's, you need an employee handbook, that's probably going to cost you something, right?
Sure.
Depending on what your annual sales are is going to be based on how your employee handbook is what that's going to involve, right? And
I think it's good season for people out there who are considering getting into the field of entrepreneurship to know there is somebody out there who is willing and able to help them, support them, answer any questions they might have. Someone who's gone through something and grown through something. You've opened a number of different businesses. You've learned a lot along the way, and so it's important if you're listening and you are thinking about starting your own business or getting into entrepreneurship. Just know there are people out there who can provide support and services to you because we don't know what we don't know.
Oh.
And even you and I, it's like we're always learning, we're always growing. Despite the fact that we've been able to make it, to some point, we still got a long way to go and a long way to grow. And so I think it's great that you're available for people. Now, I will ask you in the same vein of that comment is, what advice would you give to someone who is considering taking that step of faith into entrepreneurship?
Get out of your head, right? Don't listen to those voices that are telling you what you can't do, right? My mom is the complete opposite. My mom is a workhorse. My mom is like she was a farm girl. She gets up, she works, but risk is not a part of it. And so every time I have another thing come into my head, my mom is like, and she doesn't know how I do it, and she doesn't know why I do it, and it makes her really nervous, and her blood pressure go up.
Right.
And so I would say, what I say to her is that, these are the things for an entrepreneur that's part of it, right? It's the risk part and the not knowing part. And I feel like when you are trying to decide if you want to open a business or if you are ready to open a business, sometimes you're going to feed yourself things like, I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't have all, whatever it is that you don't have to do that is your excuse of why you're not doing
That's
it.
right.
And so for me, some of these businesses just get started on a whim. The playground got started because I was going through my master's degree program and needed to make a business plan for my final project and just happened to get laid off from the hospital that I was at. And was talking to somebody about it and they were like, yeah, let's do it, right? Let's fund it. Let's go. And so that just all started happening. And then I got called back to the hospital and I was working at the hospital and opening a playground and finishing my master's degree. And my son was 4. So he was still, very at home, even though he's very at home right now too. And you just find time for all of these things. And sometimes in your head, right, you make it much bigger.
Yes.
And you need someone to stop you and say, no, but today we're just going to work on this piece. And that's okay, right? Like, you don't have to be killing everything in that day. You just have to be taking the steps.
That's good. Just making progress. It's not about perfection. It's not about an overnight success.
And people say money, right? Like, you're like, where do you get all this money to do all these things? These are the things that I hear. Why do you get all this money to do all these things? Well, I talk to people, right? And for the playground, that just was, I was talking to a few people and they wanted to get involved in the project, right? And so that was rad. And then it happened. The cheese shop, because I learned some things from the playground that I did not want to experience again.
Sure.
The cheese shop I funded all myself, right? Like I went in and I took distribution on my 401k and I built this business because my 401k wasn't making, I thought, as much as I would get from this, right? Like the risk outweighed and I could take a loan on it, right? Like I'm not having to pay a bank back. I'm just taking the loan on my own money. So if your 401k offers you option to take a loan, right? And this is something that you feel and you have a plan. Have a plan.
Yes, have a plan.
Don't just take your money and...
Yeah, when you said on a whim, you do mean with a on a whim with a plan.
I always have a plan. I'm a business major, so I always have a plan prior to jumping. At least something that's going to be, fluid enough to show me a map, right? Like of what it's going to be, because you don't want to have no idea and lose your money.
Sure. Well, Season, you talked about, you alluded to this concept of we're always going to find excuses or reasons, and we know that a lot of this is rooted in fear. And, we've talked on this podcast before how the similarity between faith and fear is that they both believe in a future that hasn't happened yet. And for a lot of us, we need to remember that fear is simply false evidence of appearing real. And we're always going to find evidence in the things that we believe. So the reasons and the excuses, that's just simply evidence. You're like, you know what? Well, why can't I do this? Oh, time, money, this, that, the other thing. That's just evidence you're telling yourself. That's the story you're choosing to tell yourself, which is prompting you to not move forward. And so it's the thought that you're having. It's the narrative that you're having. And one of the greatest mistakes that we can always make is assuming that all of our thoughts are true. And so if you really have this idea, if you really have this plan, the moment you face resistance or a challenge, or the moment you tell yourself why you can't do it, start challenging that particular question. Start challenging that particular belief, because it's really potentially a limiting belief, and those limiting beliefs dictate your thoughts, and then those dictate your feelings, those dictate your actions, and ultimately you don't act.
It's one continuous, and you stay in the same circle.
Yeah,
Stay.
It's a circle, and it's going to keep on going until you choose to step outside of it and really challenge the actions or inactions that you've been taking or not taking. So, Season, you mentioned where we can find you here. You said 417 Gentry Street in Old Town Spring. If you're local to the Houston area, it is the Cheese and Chocolate Queen. Also, Season, how can our audience get in touch with you outside of visiting you here at the shop?
Certainly are welcome to send me an email to seasonldavis.com. You can also reach out to the Cheese and Chocolate Queen at gmail.com. If you have some cheese and chocolate, you're interested in that DEI billboard, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, you can get me. I mean, my number's on everything, and website www.seasondavis.com. If you're a professional and interested, in being featured on the website, we do have a page that talks about different vendors, and love to be able to highlight you and what you do. I think that's really important, right? Again, we talked about, helping each other out. And so I have a page on my website that, we can put the bearded leader on too. And we got a bunch of other ones out there. But I do appreciate the time, and it's been exciting for sure.
Well, I appreciate the time as well. Hopefully this isn't your last time on the podcast. I don't want to just glaze over this. I think it's important. I love, as a trainer, I'm biased, of course, but, studies show that 70% of training is forgotten after 24 hours and 90% is forgotten after 30 days. So if you need some DEI training in your organization, this is a fun experience, a fun place to do it in. Bring your team out to the Cheese and Chocolate Queen, because they can help you. She can help you. Season will help you create this DEI board and have it make it a fun training. I mean, this is something that, a lot of people don't want to go into a place to just sit down and listen to somebody talk about DEI. Why don't you pick apart a charcuterie board in the process? That'll be fun, and you're gonna leave with a full stomach and happy hearts and a lot of smiles. So, Season Davis, thank you once again for being on the Josh Parnell Leadership Podcast. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to the podcast. Have a great day. Don't forget to smile today. Tell your loved ones how much they mean to you. I'm Josh Parnell, reminding you to keep leading well.